Alright, this hand stitching technique is called the blanket stitch. I personally like the blanket stitch because I think it leaves a very nice, just visually pleasing stitch on the outside of your fabric. So what you want to do to first start off is measure an inch in from the edge, and then go ahead and mark that. But then when you head over to the pressing station or over to the ironing board, you're going to want to fold up that edge to that 1 inch line so that you have a 1/2 inch fold, and then you want to fold back that again. So this distance that we folded back is 1 inch, but we did it in 2 increments. We did a 1/2 inch fold, and then we folded that back on it again so that we have a finished edge here. So it's a folded finished edge, I guess. And so what we're going to do is we're actually going to work from the right side of the fabric, which is a little bit scary. We'll probably jump back and forth a couple times. So what we have been doing is I have been working from right to left, but now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work from left to right. And I'm going to show you just how to kind of start this thing off. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little knot down in the corner just so that I have a good starting point. You can dip your needle down into the actual fold to start, and that's fine too. But what we do is we work from the front side, and we want to make sure that we grab, we're gonna be grabbing and kind of catching all of these layers. And so I'm going to insert my needle just above where that folded edge is, so about a 1/2 inch in, and then I'm going to place my needle so that it's vertical up and down. And I want you to take note to how the rest of the fabric is, or the rest of this thread is. Now, before we've been like, oh, make sure that we keep that thread out of the way. It's going to get caught and you're going to like get things caught up in there. Well, now we want to make sure that there's this opening. We're kind of creating a lasso per se with our excess thread, and then we're going to pull our needle through, and then our thread is going to catch upon itself, and it's going to create this neat little edge on the bottom side of that fabric there. So I'm going to move my needle over, and I can almost see through it, and I can feel it with my fingers on the back side. I'm going to move over, I don't know, about a 1/4 inch or so, and then I'm just going to repeat that. I'm going to push my needle down through all the way, keeping it vertical, and then I have my lasso opened up here, and I'm going to go ahead and pull that through. And as you can see, I'm keeping this pinky down here. It's holding my thread. It's holding my thread from the previous time, and then not allowing. It's kind of lassoing this circle as it's coming around, because I don't want things to just, I guess, happen too quickly, so that errors happen or excess knots go there. So then I'm gonna kind of catch that again. And I'm going to move my needle over about 1/4 inch, keeping it vertical, bring it down, catch that lasso, that circle that's happening there, and then pull that through. Alright, and you can kind of adjust, like if your stitches, if your stitches aren't lining up as evenly as you would like, you can kind of slide them around a little bit. Alright, and I'm just going to keep on doing that throughout this whole line, keeping that hand needle vertical, pulling it through that lasso that I created. Pulling it straight down to keep that straight, this part of the stitch nice and vertical. And I'm going to kind of hold that with my thumb as I start my next stitch. Again, about 1/4 inch over, keeping that needle very vertical. You can see it peek down underneath. Then I'm pulling it through that lasso. Now, I'm sure you guys can probably tell that we are kind of going through some of this thread a little bit faster than we have before, and that's because we're creating this edge and this casing, which we haven't done. So if you find yourself moving through your hand thread a little bit faster than you thought, and you might not make it the whole length of this sample, then just whenever you decide to stop, tie off and knot on the back side, and just start where you stopped at. Alright, we're just going to keep on moving over about 1/4 inch at a time, keeping that thread vertical and pulling it through that lasso. Alright, and I'm just going to take a chance to go ahead and flip it over, and you can see that it looks very similar on the back side, but it's catching that hem. So I'm gonna stop right now with kind of what I'm doing so that you guys can continue working, and I'm gonna go off camera to finish this up. But the blanket stitch is typically an embroidery stitch, and it's used for decoration stitching, but it can also be used in garment construction. It often serves in this placement to cover the edges decoratively. So I mean, just like we're doing here, it is serving a function. It's kind of a type of hem finish because we hemmed it up an inch, a 1/2 inch twice to have an inch total, and then we're doing this decorative type of hem stitch along the edge here. So it can be decorative in a type of embroidery type way, but it can also be very functional and hold your hemming in place. So just one option. There's a lot of different stitches that you can use for doing a hem. So I'm going to go ahead and go off camera to finish this up, and when you get to the end, just go ahead and tie a knot.